Coming in at our number one...
Yeah, you know what it is.
Coming in at our number 51 spot, we have the Smite Knife. Yeah, this shit is ass. Next up, we have the Kingdom Knife. Talk about boring. Moving on, we have the Outpost Melee. Just another trash skin. Next up, we have the Prism Knife. It is literally a spray painted knife. Enough said. Look, man, I kinda might have bought this skin and I severely regret spending $35 on it. I probably would have rather spent that money gambling, but yeah, it's a GG. Go next. Good old Riot Games with their terrible green screen skins. At least I think that's a green screen. Moving on to our number 45. Moving on to our number 45 spot, we have the Hive Mind Sword. Now for a Battle Pass skin, this isn't too bad, but overall it's still not a very good skin. Man, the Lux Knife just makes me yawn. This one too. Alright, so now that we're out of the complete trash tier of knives, the first knife in our not as trash tier is the Song Steel Sword. Overall, it's not a terrible skin, it's just a lot more boring and not as cool as the other swords or knives in the game. Next up, we have the Gravitational Uranium Neuroblaster Baton, and although your mother really does like this baton, I just can't agree with her. I don't think it's that good. Meh. Just, you know, a meh skin. Again, another meh skin, but, you know, it got pretty cool polka dots. Next up, we have the Valorant Go Knife. Now, I know a lot of you Jett mains might be mad at this, but I just don't really like the knife, and I don't ever play Jett, so yeah. As much as I love karambits, this has to be the worst one in the game. Next up, we have the Katrina Knife, followed up by the K-Tac Blade, and then the Blastex Knife. Boring! Alright, so moving on, we have skins that are actually pretty good. With that being said, next up we have the Winter Wonderland Axe. This skin is always good to use around the holidays. Speaking of the holidays and Christmas and snow and all that good cheer, next we have the wand, the Snowfall Wand. And honestly, the more I look at it, I kinda think the candy cane's better. Next up, we have the Striker Knife, followed by the Artisan Blade. And to be honest, this blade is just way too big. You can't even see the entire thing on your screen. Although I do relate to that on a personal level, it's just not fun for the gaming experience. Next up, we have the Champion's Karambit, followed up by the Undercity Hack Axe, then followed up by the Tigress Sword, aka Hugh Else. The good old Sovereign Sword. It's so pretty. Rounding out our first spot in the top 25, we have the Mage Punk Electro Blade. Honestly, this knife sounds really good, aka it has really good VFX, and it looks pretty good. I mean, it's literally just a cooler version of the Mage Punk knife, and why use a simple knife when you could have this thing attached to your freaking arm? All I can say is this knife brings back memories. Just a nice, clean, and simple, good-looking skin. Not to mention this used to be the skin I used literally every time I played. Next, we have the Prosperity Sword, followed up by the Oni Claw, just an old and super iconic knife skin. At 19, we have the Genesis Arc Blade or knife. I don't really know what this is, and yeah. Next up, we have the Radiant Crisis Baseball Bat, and this is just a really unique melee. Next up, we have the Glitchcock Axe, and honestly, this axe is just super beautiful and has really good VFX. This blade has one of the coolest specs in the game. Rounding out our top 15 knives in Valorant, at our 15th spot, we have the Protocol Melee. Again, just a super unique blade that can talk to you. At 14, we have the Broken Blade of the Ruined King, followed up by the Relic of the Sentinel, aka the Sentinel Sword, and once again followed up by the Waveform Sword. At number 11, we have the Ruin Dagger. It is just one of the most iconic and most used knife skins in the game, and honestly, I love it. Rounding out our first spot in the top 10, we have Jaya's Wrath. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but yeah, this skin is pretty sick. Next up, at our number 9 spot, we have the Prime 2.0 Karambit. This is personally the skin I use most in Valorant, so it holds a special place in my heart. Ain't nothing like holding a tooth as your melee. Do you get hot while you play Valorant? Well, use the Celestial Fan. Sorry, that was a really bad joke. I just couldn't think of anything to say other than, you know, just repeat myself and say it's a really good skin. Coming in at our number 6 spot, we have the Glitch Pop Dagger. Now, I used to have this number 1, but I've just used it so much, it's kind of gotten stale to me, but overall, still really cool VFX and an amazing knife. Alright, so moving on to the top 5 melee skins in Valorant. At our number 5 spot, we have the Reaver Knife. Like your mother, this skin is just super beautiful and super original. The VFX is amazing, and even though it's pretty old, it's managed to hang in there and just stay really good. Next up, at the number 4 spot, we have the Forsaken Ritual Blade, and honestly, it looks very similar to the Reaver Dagger. I just think it looks slightly better, and I like the colors more. At number 3, we have Yoru's stylish butterfly comb. I mean, you can't not be in the top 3 if you're someone's hair comb, let alone Yoru's, so yeah. At number 2, we have the RGX blade. I mean, look at it. It's Tenz's favorite knife, so it's got to be at least my second favorite. But not to mention, it has a really cool pullout, and it's just a really good looking blade in general. I often like the clean blades over the ones that are just crazy with a bunch of VFX and everything going on. I know this is going to trigger a lot of you, but at the number 1 spot, I have the butterfly knife. Yeah, I just like it a lot.
Yeah, you know what it is.